Good day, everyone. The Group 8 will going to present the effective management of natural resources. The first part will presented by Ms. Vanessa Cebreros, which is me, the introduction of natural resources management. The second part will present by Mr. Mignano Ginel, the recent conflict may arise in management of natural resources and the factor which hinder management of natural resources. And the third part will present by Ms. Jessica De Rosario, the proper management of natural resources and the natural resources management policy areas. And the fourth part will presented by Mr. Kiefer Pedrosa, the consideration and effective management of natural resources. What is natural resources management? In the natural resources approach, effective management deals with the managing the way in which people and the natural landscape interact. It is also referred to the sustainable uses, utilization of major natural resources such as land, water, air, minerals, forest, fisheries, and wildlife in providing service that will lead to better quality of life. And it's bring together natural heritage management, biodiversity, conservation, and the future sustainability of many industries such as agriculture, mining, tourism, fisheries, wildlife, and forestry. Natural resources management focuses on the scientific and technical understanding. Natural resources management focuses on the scientific technical understanding of resources and ecology and the life supporting capacity of those available resources.
Recent conflict may arise in management of natural resources. Conflict happen because of disagreements on disuse of over-access control of natural resources. It also arises when the needs and interests are incompatible. First is a policy imposed without local participation. Policy without participation of the local people is something to priority and participation of some group of consumers are not considered as policy. Second is the lack of harmony and coordination in the local community, bodies of law, and legal procedure and management of natural resources. The third is the poor identifications of resource allocation system and inadequate consultation with stakeholders regarding the management system. The fourth is the uncoordinated planning, wherein the users may be excluded participating natural resources management. The fifth is the poor sharing of information and inadequate monitoring evaluation of programs needed to poor program implementation and limited significant offers and addressing many needs and concerns. The sixth is the limited institutional capacity resulting to lack management plan. Next is factor which hinder management of natural resources. First of it is the lack of capital, the need of adequate capital to manage the existing resources. Also, it can result in not having enough to cover overhead expenses, funding expansion opportunities, or launching a new product to market. The second one is lack of technical knowledge, development and management of natural resources. We will be needing adequate skilled manpower and competent personnel. The third one is the lack of infrastructure, lack of adequate facilities such as transporting heavy equipment, affecting utilization of natural resources and its management. Also, lack of basic roads, highways, and other sound infrastructure which required for the development of a nation in all aspects. The fourth one is the limited market, a market for a particular security in which buying and selling is difficult, usually because the large part of issue is held by a few people or institutions. The fifth one is customary negotiations about land issues and lack of property and access rights. Sixth is inappropriate government policy and governance.
Proper management of natural resources. There are several ways on how proper management of natural resources. First, long-term planning of the use of natural resources should be implemented. The natural resources benefits should be utilized fairly and equally and also take consideration in accordance who among the people needs most of its benefit. For example, the community where there is a scarcity of water should be prioritized to be allocated with water supply rather than those people who do not experience scarcity of water and need less of its supply. Second, utilization of natural resources should be for the benefit of many people and be allocated equally to everyone. That's why natural resources are distributed well and wastage can be avoided. The third, managing conflict is one of the important elements to be integrated into a board framework in proper management of resources. If a conflict that occurs, it should be managed and addressed immediately to function harmoniously with the other boards of framework assigned to manage the natural resources properly. It is important to understand each other concern in establishing plans and action properly management resources. The fourth, collaborative approach of natural resources to promote sustainable resource management and improve governance. If collaboration approach of natural resources is possible, it is the best to take the approach to encourage the practice of sustainability and also to be able to enhance the governance. The fifth, strengthening the institutional arrangement that regulates the access of the use of natural resources which include policies, institution, and process. Those in higher position should be impose policies to ensure that the natural resources are properly distributed and people have equal access to it. The last, foster the increased flow of income and benefits through improved access to manage of natural resources. Increased flow of income and benefits should be fostered in order to understand the true importance of natural resources. Improve access and management of natural resources reflect on the final cost the, of a good or a service. And the next reporter is Kiefer Dominics Pedrosa.
Today I am here to discuss about natural resource management policy areas and consideration in effective management of natural resource. There are three areas we should consider when talking about natural resource management policy. First of which is discovering where governments should invest in public surveys of mineral resource wealth. It is used to attract companies to bid for exploitation rights. This area can be used to attract companies to bid for exploration rights in a settings where both management and private parties have similar access to geological information. Second is the taxing. Government should have a strong interest in maximizing the revenue raised from natural resources exploitation, most of which comes in the form of taxation. The government faces an internal agency problem with the tax and royalty rates. However, imposing a tax on extracted resources is particularly hard because of the difficulty of monitoring and verifying the company's declared resources exploitation revenues. Lastly, investing, where lack of capital is being characterized. It is sensible that the government should use much of its resources revenues to invest in domestic assets such as infrastructure. Before scaling up domestic investments, it is therefore sensible to improve the capacity to invest. All of one's resource income does not maximize the long-run income of low-income, growing countries until investment capacity has been built. Savings should be deposited abroad. As for the next slide, consideration in effective management of natural resources. Effective management of natural resources consider the following: balancing utilization of natural resource regulation, governance, and policies to guarantee the efforts in natural resource saving and determine optimal natural resource allocation. Strengthen the resource regulations, governance, and policy to guarantee the efforts in natural resource saving and determine optimal natural resource allocation. Monitoring, assessment, and action plan also taken to consideration to strengthen management and development. Adequate awareness, skills, and strategies. And finally, equal participation and rights applied in the community, agencies, institutions, and the government.